Okay, the next set of notes in your journal is going to be benchmark fractions. So you need to have your journals out. Okay, make sure that you title it benchmark fractions. Okay, make sure you write down everything, the words, the practice problems, and then when I start working on the worksheet, you copy the worksheets down too. Okay, make sure you have it all. All right, so let's look. Benchmark fractions. Benchmark fractions are defined as common fractions that we can measure or judge against when adding, subtracting, or comparing fractions. So we use benchmark fractions when we're estimating, okay? Benchmark fractions are a form of estimation, okay? Make sure that you write all that down. Pause the video if you need to make the copy, to copy the notes. All right. Benchmark fractions are easy to visualize, making it easy estimation. Okay, so we're going to look at some. All right, so 4 over 8. And the way you think about benchmark fractions is you go, oh, how many times can 4 go into 8? Can 4 go into 8? Yes. 4 is half of 8, so 4 over 8. Okay, it equals 1/2. 1 over 8. 1 is going to go in 8 times. 1 is closest to 0, so 1/8 is going to be considered 0. 7 over 8. 7 is close to 8, so 7 over 8 is going to be considered 1 whole. We would estimate it to be 1 whole. 6 over 8. 6 is really close to 8. It's so it could be a half and it could be a whole. We lean towards 1 whole. Okay, so here's what it would look like if you put it on a number line. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 1 over 8, 2 over 8. All right, so of course mine's not to scale, but this would be half, right? So when you think about it, 4 over 8 is a half, because 4 is half of 8. 1 over 8 is closer to 0. So you would estimate it to be 0. 7 over 8, closest to 8. Would estimate it to be 1. 6 over 8, it has 1 either way. It could go either way, but we think about the number 6. 6 would round up if we were doing any other whole number, so we round it to be 1. 3/8 is closest to 4/8, so we would consider it to be half. 2/8, we would consider it to be 0. Okay, so let's do some practice of benchmark fractions. Let me get my paper here. All right, so 3/8 and 4/5. What would you estimate 3/8 to equal? 1/2. And then 4/5. 4 over 5. 4 is close to 5, so you would estimate it to be 1. So you add the two together and you get 1.5. Okay, 9 over 10. 9 is close to 10, so I would assume that would be 1. 3 over 8. Well, half of 8 is 4, so that means 3 is closest to 4, so it would equal 1/2. So here you're subtracting a whole number and a half. So if you have a whole candy bar and you take half of it away, you only have 1/2 left. Okay, 5/8 plus 2/5. Well, 5 over 8, that's awful close because we would round up, right, to 1/2. And then 2/5, well, half of 5 would be 2.5. So we would say it's 1.5. Or 1/2. So 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 whole. Okay, you're with me so far? What questions do you have right now? Type it in the notes. Any questions that you have, okay? 6/7 minus 3/8. Or plus 3, sorry. 6/7 plus 3/5. 6/7 is close to 1. 3/5 is close to 1/2. I'll put that right there. So 1 plus 1/2 equals 1.5. Okay, 3/8 minus 1/6. I would say 1/2. And 1 is not even close to 6. It's closer to 0, so 0. If you have 1/2 and you don't have to give anything away, you still have half a bar left, right? Okay, try 7/12. 7/12. Okay, 7 is about halfway. Plus 1/7. What would you estimate 1/7 to be? What benchmark would you give it? 0. 1/2 plus 0 is 1/2. Okay. 4/9 minus 5/8. 4/9 is close to what? All right. I would think 1/2, right? And 5/8, 1/2. And if you have 1/2 and you give 1/2 of it away, you're not going to have anything left, are you? Okay? 1/9. 1/9. Okay? 0. Plus 5/6. 1. So 0 plus 1 is going to equal just 1. All right. 7/8. Okay, it's closest to 1. Plus 4/7. Okay. 1/2 of 7 would be 3.5. So 4 is closest to 1/2. 1 plus 1/2 is 1.5. Okay, there's no exact science to it, guys. It's just all about kind of guessing and checking and estimating where you think it's closest. So 1/5, 1 is closer to 0 than it is 5. So 0. 3/8. 3 is almost half of 8, so I'm going to name that one 1/2. 0 plus 1/2 is 1/2. Okay, 7/9. How close is 7 to 9? 0, half, or 1 whole? I would say 1 whole. 2/6. How close is 2 to 6? Well, is it 0, a half, or 1 whole? You can say 0, but I'm thinking 1/2. Okay, 9/10. How close is 9 to 10? 7/8. How close is 7 to 8? And you subtract and you get 0. Okay, I want you to explain how you can estimate the sum of 4/5 and 1/6. I want you to type out your answer into the Ed puzzle right now. Okay. Number 14. Jenna uses 7/8 cup of raisins for muffins, 5/8 cups of raisins for a bowl of oatmeal. Does Jenna need more than or less than 1 cup? Well, if Jenna uses 7/8, I would assume that is going to estimate to 1 cup, right? Because 7 is really close to 8. 5/8, we can say that is half a cup, right? So if you take the 1 cup plus a half a cup, that's 1.5 cups. So is she going to need more or less? She's going to need more, isn't she? Number 15, a group of students ate 5/12 of a cheese pizza, 7/8 of a pepperoni pizza, and 5/8 of a veggie pizza. About how many pizzas were eaten? Well, let's do some estimation. Okay, so 5/8, 5/12 is about half, right? Because half of 12 is 6. All right, 7/8, that's almost the whole pizza. And then 5/8 is about a half a pizza. So I have 1 whole, and then this half and this half make a whole. So they ate 2 pizzas. Okay. All right. We're just going to do a couple of these on the back. On Saturday, the Scouts hiked 4/5 mile up the mountain. On Sunday, they hiked 1/4 of a mile up the mountain. About how far did the Scouts hike up the mountain in all? Is it 1/2, 1 mile, 1.5, or 2 miles? Okay, so 4/5, that's closest to 1. 1/4, 1 is closer to 0. So 1 plus 0 is 1. They hiked 1 mile. Number 17. Which of the following best describes the difference between 11/12 and 7/10? Less than a half, greater than a half, greater than 1, or greater than 1.5? Okay. 11/12 is closer to 1. And then 7/10 is about half. 1 minus half equals a half. Okay. If you said 7/10 is 1 whole, then 1 minus 1 equals 0. And either way, your answer is going to be A, less than a half. Okay? All right. Number 18. Which sum is greatest? Use estimation to decide. All right. Find the sum of each of your answer choices and see which one is greatest. Okay, 2/7. Okay, you could go either way. You could say 0 plus 1/2 equals a half. Or you can say 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 whole. Okay, that's A. B would be 0 plus 1/2. This would be 0 plus 0 equals 0. 2/9, that would be 0 plus 0. So if you chose A or B, either one would be correct. But if you think about 3/8, that's closest to half. 2/7, well, half of 7 is 3.5. So 2 is pretty close to 3.5. So it's just either way. So I would accept both. Okay. Number 19. Which statement is not correct? Which statement is not correct? All right, so 2 over 3, that would be 1, plus 5 over 9 is a half. So that's 1 1/2. And they're saying 1 1/2 is greater than 4 over 8 is 1/2. 7 over 12 would be 1/2, so that equals 1. So 1 1/2 is greater than 1. That is correct. So that can't be it. 3 over 4 is 1, plus 5 over 12 is a half. So that's 1 1/2. And it's saying 1 1/2 is less than 5 over 12 is a half, plus 3 over 10. I would go with a half, which equals 1. So they're saying 1 and 1/2 is less than 1 whole. And even if you put 3 over 10 as 0, that would be 1/2. So this has to be your answer. But let's check. 2 over 9 would be 0 plus 1/2 is less than 1 plus 0, which equals 1. So 1/2 is less than 1. So that one was correct. 5 over 9, 1/2 plus 1 equals 1 1/2. 5 over 12 is half, plus 1 is 1 1/2. So 1 1/2 and 1 1/2. This one should have been equal. So your answer is D. Okay? All right. So let's do some basic fractions. Okay, you have this worksheet from Miss Bond, I believe. So we're going to use the basic benchmarks of 0, 1/2, and 1. Okay, so 2 over 12. What would you estimate 2 over 12 to be? 0. And then 4 over 6, 1/2. So my answer would be 1/2. Okay, 4 over 8 is 1/2. And 1 over 4 is 0. So you would estimate that 1 1/2 plus 0 is 1/2. Okay, find the answer for C. Find the answer. So 3 over 5, I would say half. 2 over 10, half is 5, so 2 would be halfway. No, I would give that one a 0. So you might have put your answer as 1/2. Okay, 1/3 plus 3/9. Tell me what your answer is going to be. Okay, 1 over 3 is closer to 0. 3 over 9, I would give that about half. So your answer is 1/2. You could have even given it a 0. All right, 2 over 10. Tell me what you would estimate 2 over 10 to be. What would you estimate 2/10 to be? All right, I think 0. 2 over 5. 1/2. And 0 plus 1/2 equals 1/2. All right, 3 over 6. Estimate 3 over 6. One-half. And now 2 over 12. Okay, I would give that a 0 because 2 is very far away from 12. And so 1/2 plus 0, 1/2. Okay, 1/2 plus 1/10. Well, that one's pretty easy. 1/2 is going to be equal to what? 1/2. And 1/10 is going to be equal to what? 0. And 1/2 plus 0 equals 1/2. Okay, 8 should be easy. What is 1/6 equal to? All right, now what is 1/3 equal to? And you find the sum and you get 0. 1/6 is 0. 1/3 is 0. You add those together and you get 0. Okay. All right. I. What does 1/6 estimate to be? What benchmark would you give it? All right, 4/12. Okay, 4/12. 4 is close to 6, so I would give it 1/2. Add it together and I get 1/2. You could have also given it a 0, and that would be okay. All right, but think about how close 4 is to 12. All right, 1/4. What would you estimate 1/4 to be? All right, 2/8. What would you estimate 2/8 to be? Okay, 0/0. 1/5. What would you estimate 1/5 to equal? And then 2/10. Okay, 2 is a long way from 10, isn't it? All right, 4/14. How close is 4 to 14? Well, from 4 to 14, there's 10 spaces, so I'm going to give it an answer of 0 because that's a long way. Half of 14 is 7. All right, 1/7, you give an answer of 0. And then 0 plus 0 is 0. Okay, benchmarks are pretty easy. 1/4, I'm going to estimate that to be 0. 1/3 is going to estimate to be 0. 3/12, I can give it 1/2 because half of 12 is 6. And 3 is right in the middle between 0 and 6. So I add it up and I would get 1/2. Okay, 1/2 is going to be 0. 1/10 is going to be 0. And 1/5 is going to be 0. So I would estimate this to be 0. All right. 1/4 plus 2/7 plus 1/2. 1/7. 1/14 would be 0. 2/7. Okay, that's 5 away. So I think I would probably go with a 0. And then 1/7 is going to be 0. So you add it all up, you still get 0. Same thing with P. What would you get for P? What would your answer be? Okay, so I'd say 0, 0, 0, which means my answer is 0. Okay, that's the adding part of it. Let's look at some subtraction, which is the same thing. We're going to do benchmark. Zero, 1, and 1/2. All right, 4/6. Half of 6 would be 3. 4 would be closest to 1/2. 2/12. 2 would be here, so I'm going to give that the answer of 0. If you have a half and you don't take anything away, you still have 1/2. All right, 4/8. If you were to estimate 4/8, what would you get? All right. 1 over 4. If this was 4 and this was 2 and you had a 1, it's closest to 0. 1/2 minus 0 is still 1/2. All right. 3/5 plus 2/10. What would you estimate 3 over 5 to be? I would go with 1/2. And then 2 over 10. And I would go with 0. Which leaves you with 1/2 again. Okay, 3 over 7. It's closest to 1/2. 2 over 14, though, is an awful long way. So I would give it a 0. So my answer would be 1/2. All right, 2/5. Estimate 2/5. Well, if 3/5 is 1/2, I would have to give 2/5 0. And then 2/10. 2 is an awful long way from 10, so I would give it a 0. That means my answer would be 0. Okay, 3/6. Okay, that'd be 1/2. And then 2/12. Zero. And then if you have a 1/2 and you don't take anything away, you have 1/2 still left over. 4/5 plus 2 minus 2/10. Well, 4 over 5 is awful close to 1. And 2 is a very long way from 10. So if I have 1 and I don't take anything away, I still have 1. Okay, 5 over 6. 1. And 1 over 3. And if you have 1 and take 0 away, you get 1. All right. 4 over 12 minus 1 over 6. 4/12. Well, 1/2 of 12 is 6. So 1/2 of 6 is 3. So this is above 3. So I would go with 1/2. And then 1 minus 6, or 1 over 6 is going to be 0. And 1/2 minus 0 is 1/2. All right, 3 over 8. 4, sorry, 3 over 4. 1 whole. And then 2 over 8. I will go with 0. If you have 1 and take nothing away, you still have 1. All right, 10 over 14. All right, so think about that, about what's 1/2 of 14. Okay, I would go with pretty much close to 1 whole. And then 2 over 7 is closer to 0. All right, 5 over 6. What would you estimate 5 over 6 to be? Okay, now 2 over 12. So I would say 1 and 0, and you get an answer of 1. All right, 11 over 12, what would you estimate that to be? And then 1 over 6. And your answer is, so I would say 1, 0, 1. 9/10, what would you estimate 9/10 to equal? And then estimate 2 over 5. And then tell me what your answer is. say 1 minus 0 is 1. Benchmark fractions are awful basic. Kind of slow, kind of easy. 2 over 3. I'm going to give that a 1. And then 3 over 9, I'm going to give that a half. So if I have 1 and I take half of it away, I still have a half, don't I? Okay, same thing with P. 5 over 6 is going to equal to what? 1. And 1/2 is going to be equal to? Yeah, didn't change. So if I have 1 candy bar and I break it in half and give to a friend, how much do I get to eat? 1/2. So if I have 5/6 of a pie and I give half of it away, I'm going to have still about half of a pie. Okay. All right. So we're going to look at some estimation, but we're going to be using mixed numbers this time. Okay. So it's still estimating, it's still benchmark fractions, but we're going to be thinking about how we can use the whole numbers into it. Okay. So 3 over 8 is about half, right? Half of 8. So this is going to be 7.5 plus 3 and 1/4. 1/4 is closer to 0, so we're just going to add 3. So 7 plus 3 is 10, and then 1/2. Okay, not much different, not much harder. Okay, 6 and 7/9. 7 is close to 9, so I'm going to say that's a 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. Minus 5 and 1/3. 5. Okay, 1 over 3. That's close to 0. So this is just going to stay 5. So I'm just subtracting whole numbers. 7 minus 5 is 2. All right. 9 and 9/12. What would you estimate 9 and 9/12 to be? Okay, so 9 is close to 12, so I consider that to be a 1. So 9 plus 1 is 10. Minus 4 and 1/6. What would you estimate 4 and 1/6 to equal? 4, 4.5, or 5? I would leave it at 4. And then 10 minus 4 is 6. Okay? All right, 14 and 1/6 plus 3 and 2/3. So 14 and 1 over 6. What would you estimate that to be? 14, 14.5, or 15? 14. 3 and 2/3. Is this 2/3 gonna mean it's gonna stay 3, 3.5, or 4? Okay, 2 over 3 is really close to 2 is really close to 3. So I'm gonna bump this from 3 to 4. And then 14 plus 4 is 18. All right. Do 2 and 3/5. What would you estimate 2 and 3/5 to be? I would still probably give that half. So I would give that 2.5. And then 2.5 is actually 2.5. So if I have 2 wholes, that's 4. And each half makes a whole. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus a half is 4.5, plus another half is 5. Okay? 5 and 3/4. What would you estimate 5 and 3/4 to be? 5, 5.5, or 6? 6. And then 7/8. What would you estimate it to be? 0, 1/2, or 1 whole? Well, 7 is close to 8, so I'm going to give it 1 whole. And then 6 minus 1 is 5. Okay, 15 and 7/8. 15 and 7/8. Is it going to say 15, 15.5, or 16? Well, 7 over 8 is close to 1. So 15 plus 1 is 16. And then 9.5. So So I'm going to subtract 9.5. All right, here's where it's going to get tricky. You can't do 16 minus 9 and then leave a half. Okay, so if you'll count up from 9.5 to 10, that's 1/2, right? And then 16 minus 10 is 6. You could also say 16 minus 9.5. Change this, like we learned the other day, borrow and make this 2/2. So that's 15 plus the 2/2 whole number makes it 16, right? So 2 minus 1 is 1, and then 15 minus 9. Still 6.5. Okay. All right. 8 2/3. 8 2/3. Would it be 8, 8.5, or 9? I'm going to go with 9. Plus 16 3/12. Well, 6 is half of 12, and 3 is half of 6. So I would probably give this 16.5. So what is 9 plus 16.5? Okay, 25.5. Good. All right, 2 3/5. What would you estimate 2 3/5 to be? Okay, 2.5. And then 17 1/10. What would you estimate 17 1/10 to be? 17. And then you add 17 plus 2 is 19, with 1/2 still left over. All right, 23 3/6. Okay, you should have put 23.5 minus 12 1/2, or 1/12. So 1/12 is closer to 0, so that's just going to be minus 12. So 23.5 minus 12. Okay, 23.5 minus 12. 23 minus 12 is 11, and then 1/2. All right. 3 11/12 minus 2 1/2. 3 11/12 is going to estimate to be 4. 2 1/2 is going to estimate to be 2.5. All right, so if I have 2 1/2, okay, I can't just say 4 minus 2, right? So I have to start at 2 1/2 and go up to 4. Or I can say 4 minus 2 1/2. I'm going to borrow from the 4. It's going to become a 3. And I'm going to make it 2/2. So that's a whole number. 3 plus 1 is still 4. 2 minus 1 is 1. Denominator is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 1/2. Okay, 7 2/3. What would you estimate 7 2/3 to be? 8. Okay, and then 6 1/9 is going to estimate to be 6. And then 8 plus 6 is 14. Okay, all right, so this didn't take as long as I had thought it would for y'all. I mean, it shouldn't be too hard. It's not anything that we need to go over for a long period of time. So here's what you're going to do. Okay, you're going to tell me what the steps are for order of operation in words. A word. Explain every part with a minimum of 7 sentences. Use correct punctuation and your best spelling. Okay? Now, here's what you're going to do. I want you to put it on notebook paper and turn into Miss Bond. Okay? Second, after you finish that, I want you to tell me something great you have done today. Okay? All right. Finally, have a good day. And be good, please. Okay, so I will post an assignment in Teacher Made. It will only be in Teacher Made, and it'll be something we've already learned. So use your notes. Go back into your notes and look. You won't have a worksheet for this. Okay, there will be no worksheet for this. But it will be something that we have already done, so it should be simple, and it will be over fractions. Tomorrow, you will begin your CBA review. This will actually probably be a few order of operation problems, but they will be fairly simple, and if you know the order of operations, they'll be easy to solve, okay? Please be good, okay? I want a great report when I return.